So our next chapter is chapter 9. Chapter 9 comes under the organizing, can't say it, gosh, organizing function of management. Remember, there are 4 functions, and we just finished planning. So now we're going to go and really take a look at the organizing portion of what management needs to be doing. So up under that, as we think about how an organization or how a company comes together, it is essential that it's designed with a level of adaptability. We talked about that in past sessions about how it's important that there is a level of flexibility in the various functions of management. Organization design is a formal, guided process for integrating the people, the information, and the technology of a company. It's used to match the form of the organization as closely as possible to its purpose. Through the design process, organizations act to improve the probability that its collective efforts of all of its members is going to be successful. Organizational structure is the vertical and horizontal configuration of departments, authority, and jobs within a company. Organizational structure is concerned with questions such as who reports to whom, who does what, and where is the work done. That's organizational structure. Whereas organizational process, it is the collection of activities that transform the inputs of a company into outputs that customers value. Organizational process asks things like, how do things get done? We see here our learning outcomes for Chapter 9, the ability to describe departmentalization, its approach, organizational authority, the different methods for job design, the methods that companies use to redesign their organizational processes, and the methods that companies are using to redesign external processes. Organizational structure, which I just mentioned, structure and process actually, I just mentioned, but here it is again. Organizational structure refers to the vertical and horizontal configurations of departments, authority, and jobs within a company, where your organizational process refers to the collection of activities that transforms inputs into outputs that are valued by customers. And this slide right here is so very important because we will utilize this for our project assignment that we will do this week. Traditionally, organizational structures have been based on some form of departmentalization. Departmentalization is defined as the method of subdividing work and workers into separate organizational units that take responsibility for completing particular tasks. The most common organizational structure is the functional structure. And with it, you organize work and workers into separate units responsible for particular business functions or areas of expertise. Please note that not all functionally departmentalized companies have the same functions. Here is an example of 2 different companies. You have an insurance company and you have an advertising agency. You can see that they have some of the same departmentalization, some of the same units. They have the sales, they have the information systems, accounting, human resources. They have that the same, but differently because they're different companies. They do different things where they have a life insurance, an auto, and several other departments based on insurance. Here you see the advertising agency has different departments based on the type of business that it does. The second part of traditional organizational structures is authority. Authority is the right to give commands, take action, and make decisions to achieve organizational objectives. A second dimension of authority is the distinction between line and staff authority. Line authority is the right to command immediate subordinates in the chain of command. Alternately, staff authority is the right to advise but not command others who are not subordinates in the chain of command. Of course, I go back to Bank of America with this. I had, of course, a direct manager, but I also would receive information and guidance from other support areas. These areas didn't have direct authority over me, but they could advise and counsel me. So that's the difference between the line and the staff authority. Now, not to get things confused, but the terms line and staff are also used to describe different functions within an organization. A line authority or a line function is an activity that contributes directly to creating or selling the company's products, while a staff function, such as accounting, HR, or legal services, doesn't contribute directly to creating or selling the company's products, but instead supports the line activities. Have you ever called a company's toll-free 100 number with a complaint, or you just needed something, but you were told by the customer service representative that they needed to talk to their manager because they weren't authorized to do that? You then know that centralization of authority exists in this company. Centralization of authority is the location of the most authority at upper levels of the organization. Now, this is different. However, when you call a 1-800 number and the person or the representative tells you, I can take care of that for you right now. This is an example of decentralization. Decentralization is the location of a significant amount of authority in the lower levels of the organization. An organization is decentralized if it has a high degree of delegation at all levels. In a decentralized organization, workers closest to the problems are authorized to make decisions necessary to solve the problems on their own. Job design refers to the number, kind, and variety of tasks that individual workers perform in doing their job. Job specialization occurs when a job is composed of a small part of a larger task or process. One of the clear disadvantages of specialized jobs is that being that they're so easy to learn, they quickly become boring. And this in turn leads to low job satisfaction and high absenteeism. And then you have employee turnover, all of which are very costly to the organizations. 3 methods, job rotation, job enlargement, and job enrichment, have been used to try to improve specialized jobs. Job rotation attempts to overcome the disadvantages of job specialization by periodically moving workers from one specialized job to another to give them more variety. Job enlargement increases the number of different tasks that a worker performs within a particular job. Sometimes, however, to the employee, this could just seem to them like they're getting more work. Job enrichment attempts to overcome the deficiencies in a specialized work position by increasing the number of tasks and giving the workers the authority and control to make meaningful decisions about their work. In contrast to job rotation, enlargement, and enrichment, which focus on providing variety in job tasks, the Job Characteristics Model, JCM, is an approach to job redesign that seeks to formulate jobs in ways that will motivate workers and lead them to positive work outcomes. To go from redesigning jobs here to having those outcomes, those positive outcomes. Mechanistic organizations are characterized by specialized jobs and responsibilities. They're precisely defined, unchanging, and rigid, and typically based on centralized authority and vertical communication. This type of organization works best in stable, unchanging business environments. By contrast, organic organizations are characterized by broadly defined jobs and responsibilities, loosely defined, frequently changing roles, and decentralized authority and horizontal communication based on task knowledge. This type of organization works best in dynamic, changing business environments. The organizational design techniques described in the first part of this lecture, departmentalization, authority, and job design, are best suited for mechanistic organizations and the stable business environments that were more prevalent before 1980. By contrast, though, the organizational design techniques discussed now are more appropriate for organic organizations and the increasingly dynamic environments in which today's businesses compete. The key differences between these approaches is that mechanistic organizational designs focus on organizational structure, whereas organic organizational designs are concerned with organizational process or the collection of activities that transforms inputs into outputs valued by customers. And remember, that's going to be a very important piece for us to remember for our assignment. Companies are using re-engineering and empowerment to redesign intra-organizational processes. Re-engineering is all about significant change, about starting over, thinking big. I like AT&T's tagline, "What's possible?" Throwing out the old ways of getting work done. Empowerment is all about just that, placing and making authority and responsibilities to workers by providing the resource needed for them to be able to take effective decisions. So these approaches have an impact on processes. And that's all for Chapter 9. I look forward to talking with you in class and working with you on putting together your organizational charts for structure and process.